Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining this. This is an unprecedented time, and this is an unprecedented conversation. I'm very grateful for it. I do want to start off just by thanking the Alberta Pain Strategy for allowing all of us to be able to be a part of this conversation, especially during a time of COVID. Pain is already a very isolating experience for those of us that live with it and for those of us that have loved ones that live with it. And being able to discuss it in an open and healthy environment is so important. And especially when you're already feeling a little isolated with pain, and then you're officially formally mandated to self-isolate, it can just start having additional impact to your mental health and well-being. And I'll speak for myself in knowing that that's not the easiest thing. When you've got, family all around you in your house, you've got children that need your help and are constantly looking for entertainment and interaction. And you still have to deal with your pain and manage that in a way where before, perhaps you were able to get some minutes during the day of peace and quiet without all of these other interactions. So I'm grateful for this opportunity and this conversation. And I won't go too much into my personal background other than to say that I've been an individual living with pain for over 20 years. I've had 3 spinal surgeries. I also have migraine pain, and they're very different types of pain. So having to manage one, sometimes the other creeps up, and it can be overwhelming in addition to all the other things that you strive to do to live a healthy life. In addition to that, I've been a professional. I work within the healthcare arena. I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a friend. All of these things have important places in my life. And yet I live with pain every day. And it's something that, as I mentioned before, being in the healthcare arena, I thought I knew everything about pain and how my pain, impacted my body, and I knew better than everybody else. But one of the things that I've learned is that I actually don't know as much as I think I do about my own pain and about pain in general. And so conversations like we're having today are really important to keep that ongoing education happening for not just those of us living with pain, but also for those of us supporting pain, either as a practitioner or allied health or your family member, whoever you are. There is always more information that we can learn as a community and support each other. And so I think one of the things that I wanted to focus on today was some of those successful interactions and key learnings that I've personally had that I wanted to share. Again, being a very stubborn individual and coming from, the realm of healthcare, what I learned is that I needed to learn more to relearn things that I thought I knew or was already practicing or, and I have to be flexible enough to really big toolbox, like a really big toolbox, because something that were my 5 key go-tos may not always work. And so the things that I'm learning and relearning on this journey, some of those started with an opioid deprescribing program. And that doesn't mean that I don't use medication. I do use medication, and I use it in a way where it's effective. And so learning about what deprescribing is and getting to a point that works for my body and for what I need to do in the day was something that I didn't have an understanding of. When I thought about opioid deprescribing, I got very nervous about, somebody wanting to take away the medication that actually helped me get through the day. And that's not what it is. It's not that at all. And I think it's a conversation that we should be having, because Alberta is very lucky to have a program like that in the province. Not There's not a lot of other places that offer that as an option. And it's just an option. It's a choice for you as an individual, can make that choice for yourself. The other thing too that I think was very helpful was learning that I'm not alone. There are so many other people that are living through this. Over 800,000 people within Alberta alone are living with this type of pain. And so we have an opportunity to discuss this and make it more transparent. And doing that in group therapies or group sessions, or just in a group, with dialectical behavioral therapies and cognitive behavioral therapies. Pain can be very frustrating. And I find that my elasticity for handling that and everything else in the day wasn't what I needed it to be. And so these types of conversations in a group was very supportive for me. And again, those are things that are offered within the province that we're able to take advantage of. The other thing that I'll mention, and I don't know how often it's talking about broadly, is sexual health and sexual health with pain. Pain, as we've already discussed, can be very isolating, and your confidence as a human being, as a woman, as a man, can change in what your ability to do from a sexual nature and to have a healthy sexual experience changes. And to be able to talk about that openly and candidly was something that really had significant benefit for me and for my family. And I think it's something that we should be talking about more. The other thing I would add are some very simple things, but I didn't realize, I was like, that's not going to help. This won't help. But vitamins is a conversation that I've relearned the importance of, for me, magnesium and potassium. Both of those change my body and the way that I feel. It's like I'm oiling the machine and I'm getting it ready to move and do things, and I'm supporting that bone health, and I'm supporting my electrolytes. And that's the other thing too, is a small thing, but hydration, game changer for me. When you actually are able to tune into what's painful today and what's bothering you, and how that pain is different from when you're tired or from when you're dehydrated, you can actually decrease your pain levels by keeping your hydration up. And for me, it's not the 6 glasses of water a day. It's a lot more. I'm constantly, having something to drink. I'm not promoting any one product over another, but making sure that hydration and your electrolytes can actually really impact my day. And I'm grateful for that learning, and it's something that I have to keep reminding myself about constantly. I would also mention, in terms of a huge success that helps me remember all these things, is my little Fitbit. And it keeps me remembering to move. When you're sitting on conferences like today and reminding yourself that you need to keep moving, you need to keep talking about what you're doing, and you're on a headset and you're, in a chair, and all of these things are going on, you actually, can find ways to move around and walk around the room and just keep yourself in a position where you don't get stiff. And that can change your day drastically, so that at 3 p.m. I'm not laid up in bed. I'm actually able to take the dog for a walk and go pick up the mail. It's a big changer for what I live through with my type of pain. I would also say the other thing that I really need to commend this province for, and you'll hear from some of them today, is that multimodal approach to therapy. This isn't done in a bubble. As an individual living with pain, I need help, and I have to be able to ask for help in a way where I feel supported and heard. What works for me isn't going to work for somebody else, and vice versa. And so having a team there of professionals, and I'll mention a few that have worked for me, but there's so many more out there. Obviously, my prescribing doctor, that's not always my GP. In my case, it isn't. They're two different individuals. My pharmacist, who works with that prescribing, and my GP, psychologist. We've got massage therapy, chiro, PT, any kind of ambulatory care, that's what I call it, out there is really fantastic and able to have a conversation with me about pain. That's my pain. My nutritionist gave me some amazing goals. She didn't give them to me, actually, they were my goals, and she's been working with me to help me achieve them in my way. But all of these individuals helped me increase my toolbox that I mentioned at the outset. And those are options that I didn't have before. So when I have pain, I now have 134 things that I can go through to see if they will help relieve my pain in that moment. Versus, when I started this journey, I thought I knew everything and I thought I, could handle this on my own. And I had gotten down to about 4 things and they weren't working. So remembering that we can continue to learn and relearn, like I'm doing today, and having this conversation is really important. And part of that learning journey, the last thing that I'll say in terms of successes that I've had, is having the ability through the ODP program to have my family and my friends be a part of this conversation, an information session to help them understand what I've lived through or what I'm going through, so that they can learn how to support me. But most importantly for them, it was for them to be able to feel like they'd been heard. They're looking after me, they're changing their mood, they're changing their daily plans based on what I'm going through. And I'm so grateful for those opportunities that really changed the conversation, from one of frustration and anger to one of being open. And I really give this province a lot of kudos for that. I've lived in other provinces, I've lived in other countries, and the support we find here around pain in Alberta is unprecedented from my experience. So I just wanted to thank all of the presenters today for what you're going to put forward, and I'm very eager to learn from all of you and try what you're putting out there. And I am grateful as well for the rest of the audience, for you being a part of this conversation and trusting in this conversation. And hopefully you find something that you can try new, or learn something new, or try something different, and you enjoy this conversation. But most importantly, we just need to keep the conversation going. So as Dr. Tange said at the outset, let's support that Twitter activity with hashtag Let's Talk About My Pain. But please enjoy the day. I'm excited to learn so much, and I'm grateful for this opportunity. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Dr. Tange.